The people with the biggest opinions that are disagreeing with your dreams and your goals are the people living a life that you never wanted in the first place.
Welcome to the Secrets of Being podcast. I'm Dr. Dawn Earhart Whitty, your guide on a transformative journey of personal development and discussions of universal truths. Join me and a panel of life coaches and spiritual leaders from around the world discussing how to handle some of life's greatest challenges. We will be sharing stories of love, faith, and inspiration with you, our faithful listeners, to live your happiest and most fulfilling life full of purpose and passion for yourself, your families, and the world. We are here to be the change we wish to see. Let the conversation begin. Hello, and welcome to the Secrets of Being podcast. Today, I am so happy to be joined by L.A. Gamo. He is Baseballologist, and he can tell us all about what that means. But welcome so much, L.A.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been super excited the past weekend, anticipating this podcast. So thanks so much for having me.
Well, I know your story is going to inspire a lot of people because it inspires me. Whenever your mother-in-law tells me about all the amazing things you're doing, and I'm just like, I'm cheering for you. So I always like to start the podcast off with quote, and this one, as after we had our last conversation, I knew this is the quote that I wanted to use. It's by Robert Frost, and he says, "Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference." And I feel like that is so perfect for you and your story. So, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got from where you started to where you are today?
Yeah, so to make it really simple, I'm a professional baseball hitting coach. And how I got here is I played baseball my whole life since I was 3 years old, played high school, played college. I went to college, played four, or not play, yeah, I guess played 4 years, and I went to school for 4 years. But around when I was 19 years old is when I started picking up a book and I started learning entrepreneurship. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I read a whole bunch of different Robert Kiyosaki books. I met Gary Vaynerchuk when I was 19, so it's 13 plus years ago, before Gary Vee was Gary Vee. And to to understand how people thought that wasn't traditional, that was like that was like we were the hippies and we were like the different ones. We were like the outcasts. And I was like, oh, Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell is another good one. And I was like, man, I've always thought this way, right? I'm really good at school. Like I was a 3.5 student in high school and kind of in college. But then my last couple years, I was like, who cares what my GPA is? Like that doesn't define who I am. Like straight up, it doesn't define who I am. And then when I started reading these books, I was like, wait, what am I doing? And kind of like to give you a mentality where I was thinking is like my last 2 years of playing baseball, it was just having fun. I already knew I wasn't going to go pro. You just have this notion of like where you stand and talent wise. So I was like, you know what? Let me take my mentality, my skills in baseball and just apply it to entrepreneurship. And that's kind of where what led me to who I am today. It was a 10-year grind. In 2015, so I'm in college around 2015, 2016. Around that time is when I started a page where I just having fun and I blew up a page on Instagram to like 30,000 followers in 3 months. And I was like, whoa, that was huge. And to the point where I even got recognized by one of my friends who interviewed Gary Vaynerchuk. I haven't met Gary Vaynerchuk in person, and he saw what I did, and I was like, this is awesome. Um, Long story short, I saw this opportunity where social media is obviously this game to showcase what you do. And what I wanted to do was take what I love and make people feel like they're a fly in the wall and learn, feel like they're being educated, feel like they're being entertained, feel like they're with me. And that's been always the secret sauce is people feel like they're learning obviously from me, but they're learning with me in the cages. Whenever I travel all around the world, they feel like they're with me. And that's kind of like what I've built in The past, I mean, 10 plus years and counting, but it's been official business for like about 5 years.
I love that. And I think when we talked about this in our last conversation, not everybody was supporting your decisions at the time when you were making these decisions. And can you talk a little bit about that? Because so often we let what other people say and think affect what we do.
Sure. First off, I want to start off by saying I love my parents, I love my in-laws, I love everybody, right? But let's just talk about, let's say my parents. They only know what they know. Just like how I only know what I know, and I'm pushing my boys, my kids and my future kids to think better, think smarter, do better than me. So when I read these books, when I saw the lives of my parents and the lives of everyone around me, that's supposed to be guiding me. What if that lane or what if that journey was like not in correlation to what I want to do or my aspirations? And that's where I had to break that wall. Where a lot of people, I mean, I'm an Asian American. A lot of Asian Americans are scared to break that wall. They want to follow what their parents told them to do. And I'm not saying they as in general, but because I'm Asian American, I can speak of it. But they go to school because parents told them to go to school. They become a doctor or nurse not because they want to. Again, there's a lot of people that want to, but because their parents want them to. And I never wanted that and I never cared to. And it wasn't disrespect my parents. It was more of like I'm gonna do you guys a favor by making you guys proud by doing what I want to do and be successful. And I remember the day I had a conversation with my parents, my fourth year in college, I said, "Hey, I'm gonna drop out." And it wasn't a tough conversation because I've always been so confident in what I do and what I say that if I told I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. But it's gonna take time. But it was always about breaking the wall and thinking differently. You know, pun intended, being an outlier, just like the book Outliers, is you got to do different things in order to get different results. And if you copy everyone else, you're just gonna be like everyone else. And I'm sorry, we only have one life that I don't want to be ordinary. I don't want to live ordinary and I don't want to think ordinary. I want to be able to, I mean, this is kind of like even thinking before I had kids. I want my kids to be like, Dad really did it with no guidance and nothing, but he loved what he did. That on my like that's what people will talk about the day I'm not in this earth anymore. Like this guy did it. And that I know will make people smile. That will inspire people. It could be anything. It's not about money. It's not about success. I guess it is about success, but it's not about money. It's about doing what you love. And that is all I care about. So, very long answer to your question, but that's kind of how I just broke the wall because I didn't care. I literally don't care what people think about me. I genuinely care because they're family or they're close friends, but at the end of the day, like no one's paying the bills, no one's gonna guide my life, no one has a say besides myself and my wife.
I love that. And again, it's easier said than done. I mean, I've had people tell me literally, "Why don't you just get a real job?" And I'm like, "But the work that I'm doing is very important to me. And maybe it's not your traditional job where you have the benefits and the paid time off and the X, Y, and Z and the set schedule, but it is something that is making a difference and it makes a difference in my life and the difference in other people's lives." So nobody, and I've said this a million times, nobody has to understand your dreams except for you because you were given those dreams. And our society is built on this X, Y, and Z. You have to do it this way. You go to school, then you go to college, then you get married. And not everybody's path is like that. And
Yep.
what do you think it is that gave you the courage to say, you know what, I know people are not going to understand this. My parents aren't going to be thrilled, but I'm going to do it anyway because I feel like so strongly about this.
The people with the biggest opinions that are disagreeing with your dreams and your goals are the people living a life that you never wanted in the first place.
Oh, so good.
Right? Straight up, right? It could be a mom, dad, it could be an aunt, uncle, it could be a cousin, right? They're telling you what not to do, and you just do an audit on what they're doing. No judgment, just an audit where it's a paycheck to paycheck. You're working long hours. And again, you can make $1 million for all I care, but if you're working 50, 60 hours a week, I'm sorry, I don't want that job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I don't care. It's not about the $1 million. It's about how you work, right? Um, anyways, when I have people telling me what I shouldn't do, but then I look at what they're doing, I look at how much money they have in debt. I look at how much money, it's just like it doesn't make sense, right? And for me, I've always lived by make it make sense, right? And the people, the most opinions are the people that never did it.
Yeah.
They tried once, they tried twice, they've tried 10 times for all I care. I tried 100 times. I did it, right? So
You're
even
doing it.
I'm doing it. Even myself, when I hear a 17-year-old kid saying they want to do this and do that, I'm like, do it. You know why? Because this voice, even though my voice shouldn't matter, but you'll never hear a voice that is so compelled to saying just do it because that leap is the it's I love Will Smith's analogy. I've never done this, but it's like skydiving. You fear the drive to the skydiving place. You fear the fear while suiting up. You fear it while flying up. You're just like, this is gonna suck. But the moment you take the leap, you're like, why was I scared? What was fear? So that's how I think about things is everyone's fearing nothing. But the moment you take that leap, the moment you drink that juice, it's like, wow, you're just all of a sudden different. And you
Yeah.
think different. And that's why people think I'm crazy, but I'm okay with that because I'm not ordinary, you know?
Yeah, do the scary thing. That's where all the magic happens is on the other side of fear. My daughter went what did she went like not parasailing. I think she was in Turkey and she said I said, "Oh my gosh, you're so brave," because I would not want to do that. That's not sound fun to me. But she goes, "Oh, I wasn't brave." She goes, "I was shaking. I was so scared." I said, "Honey, being brave doesn't mean you weren't afraid. It means you did it anyway."
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I know that every challenge I've pushed myself towards where I'm nervous going into it, then after I'm done, I did it. I'm like, this feels so good. I faced my fear. I did it
Yeah.
scared. I did it anyway. And then you grow from that. Those are the experiences that really grow us.
That's why I'm teaching my son. I think you were there when he said it, is his superpower is that he says, I'm confident. You could be scared, you could
Yes.
be nervous, you could have a fear, but if you have confidence going into it and just punch you right in the face, it's like, whoa, just like what you said about your daughters, she did it. She did it. So there's no question. So if you were to watch a vlog or, ask her a diary and be like, hey, what was the thought process on doing it? That is gold.
Yeah.
That is where what we should be learning.
Well,
She probably said F it right before. She probably said screw it. Whatever. She did it.
yeah, she is a little insane, but I love her for that.
And you got to be insane.
Yeah, you have to be a little bit delusional, like delusional enough to believe that I can make this happen despite what the circumstances around it look like,
Yeah.
right? You just have to have that belief in yourself and your vision and that pull in your heart that is pulling you to something that you love. And I see so many people going to jobs that they hate, what, no matter how much money they're making, and they hate it. That is not a way to live this precious life that we've been given.
I remember, I hope whoever's listening to this, all right, I hope there's a young 16, 17-year-old kid that's listening to this. And I remember being 17 years old, I was an Avid, right? Avid is a class in high school that's supposed to set you up to college, tell you how to take notes, tell you how to apply to college, etc. I remember applying to colleges, and everyone is saying, "Oh, I'm going to apply to Long Beach. I'm going to apply to Berkeley. I'm going to apply to Stanford. Oh, I'm going to major in so and so. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be a so and so because it's going to pay you 90 grand a year. I'm going to be in so and so. I'm going to pay you 120 a year." And I kid you not, I didn't even flinch. I don't give a. I didn't care. I genuinely didn't care. Even if you're telling me, like I said, even if you're telling me a job that made me $2 million a year and I completely hated it, whether it's the amount of hours or the people around me, I wouldn't care because no one, I hate to say it because I'm generalizing it right now, but the school system doesn't teach you how to think. They teach you how to listen,
Yep.
right? And something that while these kids were telling me, "Hey, I'm going to make 120 a year," I'm like, Well, you don't even know the circumstance of the job. You don't know the people. You don't know you don't know how many hours. You don't know who you're going to work with. You don't even know if you're going to like it. But the amount of money is defining their happiness, which we know as adults, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, and they don't teach that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I think like this podcast and conversations like this are so important to talk to people who did take the road less traveled and see what was their mindset. How did they get from A to B? Because again, it's very easy to fall in alignment with, again, we're being programmed our whole entire lives, whether we know it or not, from the time we're in the womb, from like the media and movies and our parents' belief systems. And I'm not saying it's all bad programming, but I'm saying we've been taught that this is the way, this is the one way,
Right.
and there are a million ways.
Yeah.
And giving people that the other way, and watching you that you're successful in doing it, it gives people the courage to say, you know what, let me try that. Maybe I can do that too.
It's my favorite conversations. Like I don't like talking to a lot of people when it comes to like surface conversations, but when it comes to conversations like breaking that wall, and again, I don't care about what they do or what, I just care about them feeling a little fulfillingness of I'm finally doing it. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's just like anything because you never know what you don't know. And a lot of, whether it's our parents or the older generation or people who just never had the opportunity or still don't have the opportunity at a young generation, it's like, I just wish you knew. I just wish you knew. And, it's such a fulfilling feeling that that's why I have such a like bad taste about I love education. I hate traditional education. I hate traditional education, you
Yeah.
know?
I agree with you. And that's a whole nother show. But you work with kids, right? All age ranges.
Yep. I mean, from 5 years old to 25 years old to 35 years old. So I mean, but I would say the 9 to 15 would be my one of my 9 to 16 would be like my cup of tea right there.
Okay, so I want you, and you are an amazing dad. I just have to say that because
Thank
I've watched you parent. You have the cutest little boys, and I always tell your mother-in-law like what a great dad
you.
you are. He's very blessed to have you, and your boys are very blessed. But I want you. I see how you parent them, and I think it's so cute. But I want you to tell us some of the things, the lessons that these little boys or girls, I'm assuming, um, that you give them, like the messages that you instill in them, because having someone like you in their life as a role model has got to be such a treat for them, not
Um,
just with the baseball skills but with everything.
that means a lot. Thank you. Do it first. That's one of my biggest advice to myself, right? Do it first. And what I mean by that is how many times, again, this isn't my parents, I just in general, right? How many times do parents tell you to not do something or to do something, but they never did it? It's like, what? Right? For example, like I'll tell you clients of mine where the dad or the mom is heavy set and they're trying to tell the kid, yeah, tell you got to start working out. It's like, no, you got to start working out.
Mhm.
You got to be healthy, right? So I guess that analogy is really on me where I not only have to work out physically to be healthy, but I also have to work out mentally to be healthy too. So that's something that my wife and I talk about, right? Where if we're not right, they're not going to be right. If we're not right, I'm not going to be right to treat my wife or my kids right. If I'm not right, therefore my communication on how I do what I do, whether it's being a parent or being a coach or being an entrepreneur, it's not going to come out right to who I pay or whatnot. So I have to work on myself. So I show my kids what I work on. I show my kids me being active. I show my kids, hey, I'm playing with you, but then I also separate myself to work. So therefore they know, damn, dad's really grinding. Hey, I see dad how he like right now, right after this, I'm going to jujitsu. I'm taking my oldest son to jujitsu with me just to watch me. Because I want him to know, I want my kids to know, hey, dad's busy, but he has an hour and a half to himself to be himself or to escape, because that's super important. So it goes back to what I just said is do it yourself. We can't parent them. if we've never done it or experienced it or have a strong opinion, we can't just tell them what to do. You know?
So tell us, as you've been, going on this journey, can you tell us something like one of the hard things that you've gotten through, where you may have almost given up, or I don't even think that you are that person. I can't even imagine you even thinking, but has there been a time where you thought about possibly, going a more traditional path?
Never.
I see. I knew that was going to be the.
That's a really good question because it's obviously questioning my doubts. But can I tell you hard times? Of course I can.
Yeah.
But I never officially quit. I never officially said I'm done with it. And I came back. It was always I had my good times, I had my bad times. But those bad times still mean consistency because it's on my mind or I'm actively doing something. So, no, because I knew like I'm such a visionary that like, right now I'm 33. I know what my vision or my life could be at 50, so that's 20 plus years. I have that where most people don't know what tomorrow is going to look like, right? So, and this isn't my advice, but this is just my upbringing. I promised myself that my 20s was going to be my building years. I'm sorry, my creating, figuring out years. Creating and figuring out, failing, figuring out, failing, figuring out. I knew I was giving myself 10 plus years. And then my breakout was when I actually hit like 30, like young 30s. Like the past 3 years was my breakout. So now my 30s is my building years, and my 40s is going to be like, how do I keep this like building on its own by, like stepping back a bit. So my point being is it was never a doubt. And the doubt really because I did so much understanding, so much education that if I've always believed in success leaves clues. Success leaves clues. So if someone you admire is talking to you and saying, "Hey, Don, I started, this at age X, Y, and Z, and I didn't figure it out till 15 years later," it's like, "Oh, all right. I mean, I'm gonna grind it out. Hopefully, I can do it less than 15 years." But it gives you belief and hope that I I'm not the only one, right? So whenever I say successfully leaves clues, is all I did was read autobiographies, biographies, and just understood the mentality of who I'm learning or who I'm learning from, right? Something that I've always lived by is you should really watch it. It's called like in the what's his name? Bill Gates. In the Bill's brain. So Bill Gates,
Mhm.
this documentary on Netflix, I think it's called Bill's Brain. And I was like, oh, I'm watching this. And the biggest thing I took from it is he got so successful, or during his success, he would always take a week off every month, and he'd go into the wilderness in a cabin. He'd bring a bag of books, and he'd just read. No distractions, no work, no nothing. Just it's called Think Week. Think Week. He'd wander. He'd go in the woods and just walk and think. He got so successful that this is what I get jealous. This is what I'm working towards. Is every day's Think Week. He has so much time to think, to always be a visionary for the next thing. So every day, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, I always have a think week to where I'm always thinking, I'm always allowing myself to think about the next thing. I'm so happy with what I'm doing, but that's how you grow, is not just sitting on what you're doing. It's like, well, what's next?
I love it. And then, so initially, your vision, how did you put that together? How did you take your first steps? Like for somebody who's never done that, or maybe is on the verge of maybe considering doing something on their own, what would you suggest to them to start off to get them going down that path?
I would ask him, what's the first step you got to do? I always tell you the first step. And then guess what? Do it. Right? I can't answer a general answer to you always have to get an LLC.
Oh, right, right.
It
No, but
doesn't
this is all mental, like all
no,
mindset stuff.
100%. But like everyone wants that first answer. Hey, do I need that camera? Do I need that $1,000 camera? It's like, no. Do you know what I use? I use my phone and I use a $20 a $20 tripod and $100 mic. That's still my setup. I don't have fancy setup. Oh, but you need a no, you don't need anything.
Thank you for saying that because so many people will let all the things they don't have or in their mind like keep them from taking that next step or that first
Right.
step, but because they're overwhelmed because they see like how
Right.
to get over here, but you did it regardless.
You got
That's
to work with what you got,
yes.
right? You got to work with what you got. I mean, I'm not the biggest Mr. Beast fan, but Mr. Beast became so successful by recording off his iPhone, whatever, 8. And then whenever he made money, let's say $20, and then he bought a small mic. Then he would make money, then he'd buy a iPhone 10. He'd make money. He just kept reinvesting versus, oh, you know what? I need to wait till I can afford the mic and the camera. No, no, no. You just got to keep grinding little by little to in order to get there versus waiting, right? So it's a that's a mental block. So I'll always ask him, what do you need to do first? I don't know. Let's start the Instagram. Cool. Go get the Instagram tag. What do you need first? I don't know. I need to just record. I need to make videos. But no, but just start making a video. So it's always that one answer, but then there's a but to afterwards. I just shut him up because that one answer, just do it, even if it sucks.
That that is awesome. That is awesome advice because I know that it's happened to me too. Where I'm like, oh, I don't have this and I don't have that in place, and then I'm like, no, no, that just keep going. Just keep going. Do what you have from where you are with what you have.
Yeah.
Do what you can from where you are with what you have. That's what we learned in life coaching, and I think of that all the time because a lot of times we let things like that stop us, and it shouldn't. Just keep
And
going.
it's easy to compare yourself to other people that you don't know where they stand.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I try to teach. I mean, I try to teach I will teach my boys, but I'll teach like my coaches that I train or mentor is even myself. I'll be super honest. Every coach that's like a colleague of mine, I block every single one of them on Instagram. Not block like they can't connect with me. Like I mute every single one of them. I don't care to
Because you
see.
won't compare.
I don't want to compare
Right.
because now it's like, oh, that's working. Oh, no, it's literally my practice. It's my lane to where, if I need that, I'll go and get it, but I can't be influenced by other people. And that's what today is. They see some entrepreneur, they see someone with something, it's like, oh, I need that. It's like, no, you don't realize that's 10 years in the making. That's 15 years in the making. That's 20 years in the making that you're just starting day one. I don't care if you have all the money to afford that $1,000 camera or that setup or that anything. You still need to do the dirty work, you know?
Yeah. And it doesn't happen overnight. And I think that that's something that people also, they see you're successful. So they're like, well, let me try to do something like that. And they don't get it right away, but they don't see all the grind and the work that went into getting you to where you are today.
Right.
So such amazing advice. Before we go, I want you to tell everybody where they can find you, where they can follow you, and also then leave people with one. You've given so much advice, but like one piece of advice that you really want people to take away from this episode.
Sure. On Instagram, it's Baseballogist, TikTok, The Baseballogist, YouTube, The Baseballogist, Facebook, something baseball. It's either the or baseballogist. Baseballogist is spelled baseball, Baseballogist. It's like scientist, but baseballogist. The advice I have for anybody, since we're talking about the secrets of being, is really figure out who you want to be first. Don't follow mom or dad. Don't follow this entrepreneur. Don't follow this influencer. Like, figure out who you want to be first. Because once you figure out who you want to be, what you want to have, what you want to obtain, what you want to accomplish, once you figure out who that is, now you'll have all the confidence and all the fuel in the world because now nothing matters, right? Nothing matters. You could tell me, hey, LA, you should, yeah, no, you don't know who I want to be. So therefore, literally nothing matters. And I've built such tough skin that things just won't affect me. Because at the end of the day, I'm responsible about my own life and no one else. Even my parents, even we're adults. They could still parent, but they have no control over what my life is going to be. And that's been one of my biggest like passion is to how much can I fulfill? And notice how I didn't say accomplish, like meaning like work wise. I'm talking about fulfill. I'm talking about do. One of my biggest flexes. I'm not gonna tell you what I've about my job, about my flex. I'm telling my accomplishments and what I could my flex is one of my biggest flexes, the amount of time I have with my kids. But because I knew what I wanted to do.
That was
I
part of
knew
the
who my
equation.
identity was. I knew I'm going to be a dad. I knew I'm going to have a big family. But what if I just got this big job with a lot of hours and a lot of money, but it's little time here? It didn't make sense. So by identifying who you, not you, but the listener is, I want to do this. I want to have this many kids. I want to have a wife, or I want to have a husband. I want to live here. Uh, Start building that. So therefore you have something to look forward to little by little by little every single day. You'll wake up a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. You're like, and you'll thank yourself for taking that leap or that first step.
I love that because it's not just about what you do for a living, it's about what you do for a life.
A
And you've
life.
factored all of that into your
A
equation, and
life.
that's brilliant.
I
You
like
are,
my flex is being able to live like my whole schedule right now, like today. I had a meeting this morning. I have this wonderful podcast. I'm about to go to jujitsu right now. Then I'm gonna spend 2 to 3 hours with my kids, and then I get to work, and then it's like a puzzle that I don't want to say fully figured out because that's not fair, but I'm figuring out,
yeah.
and it's lovely. And
Yeah,
I
and you're
want
taking,
people to hear that passion because it's not about do it to make a million plus. No, it's what they don't teach you is your happiness.
that part.
I guess that's what's about.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insight, your passion. I can feel the passion and I love it. And I know that everything you do is going to continue to be more and more successful because you've got the drive, you've got a beautiful family, and you've got life figured out in the way that it needs to be figured out. Like your happiness, your fulfillment, your joy, that is more important than just dollars.
That's my currency right there is my happiness. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, not my family's happiness. My wife, my kids, my wife first. Our happiness is together, then our kids, and that's it. Everything else is afterwards.
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
And thank you all for listening. And we'll see you next time on The Secrets of Being. Thank you for tuning in to the Secrets of Being podcast. We appreciate your time and support. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with more inspiring content. For further inspiration, visit thesecretsofbeing.com and join our community. Until next time, stay inspired and keep unlocking the secrets of being.